The moment you stop chasing someone, something quiet begins to change. Not because you're playing a game, not because you're pretending not to care, but because your energy finally returns to you. When you chase, your peace starts depending on their reply, their attention, their silence, their mood, and their distance. You begin to live inside questions that have no answer yet. But when you stop running after them and start choosing yourself again, the pressure around you disappears. Your presence becomes lighter, your mind becomes clearer. And sometimes, the person you were trying so hard to reach begins to feel the absence of the energy they used to receive for free. This is the strange truth most people discover too late. People often feel your value more clearly when you stop abandoning yourself to be chosen. The first thing you need to understand is that chasing does not create closeness. It often creates pressure. When you keep reaching, checking, explaining, and trying to pull someone closer, your energy stops feeling calm and starts feeling heavy. The other person may not even understand why they feel the need to step back, but something in the dynamic begins to tighten. You can see this when your whole day begins to orbit around one person, you check the phone too often, you reread messages that already said everything they were going to say, you create meanings from delays, silence, and short replies. Instead of living your life, you begin managing your anxiety through their behavior. That is not love becoming stronger, that is fear becoming louder. The shift begins when you stop confusing pursuit with devotion. You can care without pressuring. You can be honest without chasing. You can want someone without placing your peace in their hands. A calm connection has space inside it. If something only stays when you chase it, then what you are holding is not connection. It is tension. When someone becomes unclear, the mind often tries to finish the story by itself. You replay their words, study their silence, and imagine what they might be feeling. At first, it feels like you're trying to understand them, but slowly, you're no longer dealing with the real person. You are dealing with the version your mind created to survive uncertainty. This is where overthinking becomes dangerous. You add warmth where they were distant. You add meaning where there was only delay. You add depth to short messages and intention to random behavior. Then you become attached to the image, not the reality. You miss your own life because you're busy living inside a relationship that mostly exists in your head. The practical move is to return to what is real. What did they actually do? What did they actually say? What pattern is repeating? What is in your control right now? These questions bring you back from fantasy into clarity. Thinking more does not always reveal more truth. Sometimes it only gives fear more material to work with. Many people resist letting go because they think it means losing. They think if they stop trying, stop checking, stop waiting, or stop proving their feelings, then the connection will disappear forever. But sometimes the thing that is disappearing is not love. It is the illusion that control can make someone choose you. Holding on too tightly changes your energy. You become tense, watchful, and afraid of making the wrong move. You start measuring every word and every silence. You become less yourself because you are too busy trying to secure a result. And the painful part is that the more you grip, the more fragile everything feels. Letting go means opening your hand without bitterness. It means saying, if this belongs in my life, it does not need my anxiety to stay. And if it leaves, I will not leave myself with it. This is not weakness. This is dignity. You are not giving up on love. You're giving up the version of love that asks you to abandon your own peace. There is a visible difference between wanting someone and needing them to feel whole. Wanting keeps your heart open. Needing turns another person into the owner of your stability. When you need them to reply, choose you, reassure you, or come back before you can breathe normally, the connection stops feeling free. It starts feeling like a responsibility placed on their shoulders. People can sense when your peace depends on them. They may not say it clearly, but they feel the weight. Every silence becomes dangerous. Every delay becomes proof. Every change in tone becomes a crisis. Instead of meeting them from fullness, you meet them from fear, and fear rarely creates attraction. Most of the time, fear creates distance. The shift is to become complete enough that connection becomes a choice, not a rescue. You can enjoy someone without needing them to repair your inner world. You can miss them without collapsing. You can love them without making them responsible for your identity. When you stop needing, you do not become colder, you become freer. When you spend too much time thinking about someone else, your own life slowly moves into the background. Your projects lose energy, your routines become weaker, your friendships receive less attention, your body and mind start waiting for emotional permission to live. You may still be moving through the day, but your center is somewhere else. This is why choosing yourself again matters. It is not selfish, it is recovery. You return to your work, your health, your home, your learning, your quiet mornings, and the people who actually show up. You stop building your emotional life around one uncertain person. Slowly, your attention returns to places where it can grow something real. The practical move is simple. Every time your mind runs back to them, bring one action back to yourself. Clean something, finish something, learn something, move your body, call a friend, build one small piece of your own life. You're not trying to forget them by force, you are remembering yourself by practice. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood forms of strength. Many people think it means you stop caring, stop feeling, or become cold toward the person. But real detachment is not indifference. It is the ability to care without being controlled by what happens next. You still feel the emotion, but the emotion no longer owns your decisions. Without detachment, every small sign becomes a storm. A silence becomes rejection. A delay becomes proof. A short reply becomes a full story in your head. You begin to live as if every movement from that person is a verdict on your worth. That is not love. That is emotional dependence, turning ordinary moments into emotional emergencies. The shift is to let your feelings exist without letting them drive. You can miss someone and still remain steady. You can want a reply and still continue your day. You can care deeply and still keep your center. Detachment does not remove love. It removes the fear that turns love into control, pressure, and quiet suffering. Waiting becomes dangerous when it stops being patience and becomes self-abandonment. There is a difference between giving something time and putting your entire life on pause. Many people do not notice the moment they stopped living. They still work, speak, eat, and move. But inside, they are waiting for one message, one sign, one decision from someone else. This is how your world quietly becomes smaller. You stop making plans because maybe they will reach out. You stop feeling present with friends because part of your mind is somewhere else. You stop enjoying quiet moments because silence feels like proof that nothing is happening. But something is happening. Your life is passing while your attention is locked on a possibility. The practical move is to stop waiting as an identity. Let life continue even before you have the answer. Go outside, finish the task, laugh with someone, build your routine, return to your own path. If they come, they meet you moving. If they do not, you are still moving. That is how your energy returns to your own life. There is a different kind of presence in someone who is okay alone. It does not come from arrogance. It comes from not needing the room, the message, the relationship, or the attention to feel complete. When you are comfortable with your own company, you stop entering every connection with hunger. You begin to enter with choice. People can feel the difference. Neediness pulls. Stability allows. Neediness asks, "Will you make me feel enough?" Stability says, "I am already building a life and you are welcome if you add to it." That energy is calmer. It is less demanding. It does not turn another person into a cure for every empty space inside you. The shift is to practice being with yourself without running away. Sit in silence. Take a walk without checking your phone. Eat alone without feeling ashamed. Work on something that matters to you. The more you can be with yourself, the less you use other people as emotional shelter, and that makes your presence cleaner, stronger, and easier to respect. Chasing makes everything feel urgent. It convinces you that you must act now, speak now, explain now, fix now, or you will lose the person forever. But urgency is not always truth. Sometimes urgency is fear trying to dress itself as wisdom. Time gives you distance, and distance helps you see what your anxiety was hiding. When you give time to a situation, certain things become clearer. You see whether the person reaches out without pressure. You see whether their interest has consistency or only appears when you pull away. You see whether you truly miss them or whether you miss the feeling of being chosen. Chasing blurs these differences. Time separates them. The practical move is to let time do some of the work. Do not force a conclusion while your emotions are loud. Do not make permanent decisions from temporary panic. Wait long enough for your mind to breathe. What is real can survive space. What only existed through your pressure will usually fade when you stop feeding it. There is a strange moment that many people experience. You stop waiting the same way. You stop checking the phone with the same tension. You stop building your day around one possible reply. And just when your attention starts coming back to your own life, the person you were chasing seems to feel the change. This does not happen because you tricked them. It happens because the dynamic changed. You are no longer pushing with anxiety, so they no longer feel the same pressure to pull away. Your absence creates space. Your calm creates curiosity. Your life moving forward sends a different message than your fear ever could. It says you're not standing still anymore, but this is where you must be careful. Someone returning is not automatically a victory. The real victory is that you no longer need their return to feel complete. If they come back with clarity, respect, and consistency, you can decide calmly. If they come back with the same confusion, you can keep choosing yourself. Your peace is no longer waiting at their door. When someone comes back after you stop chasing, it can feel like proof that everything you wanted was finally real. But slow down here. Their return is not always the same as your healing. Sometimes they return because they miss your attention, not because they are ready to value your heart. Sometimes they feel your absence but still bring the same confusion that made you tired. This is where many people lose themselves again. They spent weeks recovering, rebuilding routine, finding peace, and remembering who they were. Then one message arrives, and suddenly all the old hope wakes up. They forget the silence, the inconsistency, the anxiety, and the way they had to pull themselves out of emotional dependence. The stronger response is to receive their return without surrendering your center. You can be calm, open, and honest without running back into the old pattern. Ask what has changed. Watch what remains consistent. Let actions speak longer than words. If you healed enough to stop chasing, do not abandon that healing just because the person finally noticed your absence. Mixed signals become painful when you keep treating each one like a mystery. A warm message, then distance, a kind moment, then silence, interest, then withdrawal, hope, then confusion. The mind wants to solve it because uncertainty feels unbearable. But not every unclear person needs more analysis. Sometimes the pattern itself is the answer. You suffer when you hold on to the best moment and ignore the repeated behavior. You remember the day they were tender, the message that sounded sincere, the look that made you believe everything could change. But then the same distance returns, the same delay returns, the same emotional fog returns. A single good moment cannot erase a repeated pattern. The practical shift is to stop asking what one moment meant and start asking what the pattern is teaching. Consistency is a language. Distance is a language. Effort is a language. Silence can also be a language. When you respect patterns, you stop being controlled by crumbs of attention. You no longer need to decode what keeps repeating clearly. When you stop chasing and start choosing yourself again, your life begins to regain direction. You are no longer moving around another person's silence. You are no longer building your day around one possible reply. You return to your work, your health, your goals, your friendships, and your own rhythm. Direction changes your energy because it reminds you that your life still belongs to you. People feel direction even when you do not announce it. It shows in the way you stop waiting with desperation. It shows in how you answer less from anxiety and more from calm. It shows in your posture, your choices, and your attention. You become less available to uncertainty because your life is no longer empty enough to be controlled by it. The shift is to build a life that pulls you forward, not as a performance, not to make someone jealous, not to prove that you are fine. Build because your energy deserves somewhere useful to go. Build because your future should not be delayed by someone else's uncertainty. A person with direction does not need to chase. Their movement speaks. This may be uncomfortable, but the person you were waiting for is not the real prize. The real prize is the version of you that returns when you stop living in suspense. The calmer version, the clearer version, the version that can wake up without checking a phone first. The version that can breathe before knowing whether someone has chosen them. Chasing makes you believe the reward is their attention. But look deeper. What you actually want is peace, certainty, affection, safety, and the feeling that you matter. If you believe only one person can give you those things, you become dependent. You start shrinking your life into the shape of their availability. The stronger shift is to become the source of your own stability first. Then anyone who enters your life adds to something that already stands. They do not become the foundation. They become a guest in a house you are already building. That is when love becomes cleaner. That is when choosing someone no longer means losing yourself. Choosing yourself is not just about feeling better, it changes what you're willing to accept. When your center returns, disrespect feels different, inconsistency feels different, half effort feels different. You stop explaining pain away just because you want the person to be who you imagined. Your standards wake up when your self-respect wakes up. Before that, you may have accepted almost anything if it came with a little attention. A short reply felt like hope, a late apology felt like progress. A small sign felt like proof, but when you start valuing your peace, those crumbs stop looking like love. You begin to notice whether someone brings clarity or only keeps you emotionally hungry. The practical move is to let your new standard guide your next decision. Do not ask only whether they came back. Ask how they came back. Ask whether their presence brings peace or confusion. Ask whether you are choosing from calm or fear. When you choose yourself, you do not become closed to love. You become closed to losing yourself for it. When you are attached to a result, patience feels like punishment. You want the message now, the answer now, the clarity now, the proof now. But urgency is one of the easiest ways to betray your own peace. Many emotional mistakes are not made because people lack wisdom. They are made because people cannot tolerate the space between wanting and knowing. This is how people send the message they later regret. They force the conversation before the moment is ready. They ask for reassurance from someone who has already shown inconsistency. They make decisions from panic and call it honesty. But panic is not honesty. Panic is fear trying to end uncertainty as quickly as possible. The stronger move is to let time protect you. Wait until your nervous system is calmer before you decide. Let the emotion pass before you act. Let the situation reveal more before you define it. Patience is not weakness. It is the discipline of refusing to let one moment of anxiety create a consequence your future self has to carry. When someone returns after distance, the question is not only whether they came back. The deeper question is what kind of energy they bring with them. Do they bring clarity, responsibility, and respect? Or do they bring the same confusion, the same half-effort, the same emotional fog? A return without change is often just the old pattern wearing a new face. This is where your growth gets tested. The old version of you may want to celebrate the message before reading the behavior. It may want to forget the silence because the attention feels good again. It may want to call their return destiny because waiting was painful. But growth asks for something more mature. It asks you to observe before surrendering. The practical move is to stay open without becoming blind. Listen to what they say, but watch what they repeat. Receive the conversation, but do not abandon your standard. If they return with honesty, consistency, and peace, you can decide calmly. If they return with pressure, confusion, and old excuses, you can keep choosing yourself. There is a quiet truth that hurts before it frees you. What truly belongs in your life will not require you to abandon yourself to keep it. It may require patience, communication, growth, and effort, but it will not require you to lose your peace, ignore your dignity, silence your needs, or shrink your life until only that person remains. Many people stay attached because they believe love must be proven through suffering. They think if they endure enough uncertainty, give enough chances, and tolerate enough distance, eventually the other person will see their value. But real connection should not require you to become smaller so someone else can remain comfortable. The stronger question is simple. Does this connection bring you closer to yourself or farther away? Do you feel clearer, calmer, and more alive? Or do you feel confused, anxious, and suspended? Your body often knows before your mind admits it. When something asks you to disappear to keep it alive, it is not asking for love, it is asking for self-betrayal. There comes a day when you do not check the phone the same way. Not because you forced yourself to be strong, not because you stopped caring overnight, but because something in you finally got tired of living on hold. The message you used to wait for no longer controls the first thought of your morning. That is the beginning of your return. At first, this change may feel strange. You expected freedom to feel dramatic, but it often feels quiet. It feels like space in your chest. It feels like breathing without needing an answer. It feels like realizing that your happiness is no longer standing outside someone else's door. Nothing explosive happens. You simply start belonging to yourself again. The practical move is to honor that return. Do not run back to the old pain just because it becomes familiar. Do not confuse missing someone with needing them. Do not confuse silence with emptiness. Use the space you regain to build, rest, learn, move, and reconnect with your own life. The day you stop waiting is the day your energy comes home. The real victory was never just that they came back. The real victory is that you no longer need them to come back in order to feel whole. You can receive someone without losing yourself. You can miss someone without abandoning your direction. You can love someone without turning them into the center of your existence. This is what choosing yourself truly means. It does not mean rejecting love. It means refusing to live as if love must cost your dignity. It means your life has purpose even when someone is absent. It means your mornings still matter, your work still matters, your body still matters, your peace still matters, and your future still belongs to you. And when you become that person, something changes in how others experience you. You are no longer chasing, explaining, waiting, and shrinking. You're moving, you are building, you are present in your own life. Some people may return because they feel the difference, some may not. But either way, you win, because the person you were looking for was you. Why do they often come back when you stop chasing? Because the energy changes, the pressure disappears, the neediness fades, the attention they used to receive without effort is no longer pouring toward them. But the deeper point is not whether they return. The deeper point is that you return to yourself. You stop living inside unanswered questions. You stop building your day around a message that may never arrive. You stop treating silence like a verdict on your worth. You begin to move again, breathe again, build again, and choose again. That is where your power comes back. If someone returns with clarity, respect, and consistency, you can decide from peace. If they return with confusion, pressure, and the same old pattern, you can keep walking. Either way, you are no longer the person waiting outside the door of someone else's attention. You are home inside yourself. And once you find yourself there, you understand the truth. The moment you stopped chasing them was the moment you finally started choosing your own life.